Are you ready, Mama?
We'll be ready in about 10 seconds here. One second.
Okay.
And we are live.
Okay, thank you. Good evening, Harrisburg City Council members. And now I will go into the budget and follow the agenda. We will have call to order, then roll call. Invocation will be done by Mr. Dave Mattson, Pledge of Allegiance, Mr. Ben Allen. We then move to courtesy of the floor, followed by approval of minutes, approval of legislative session minutes of November the 24th, 2020. Please read those. We move on to reports of committee. First is report from Chair Allen on the work session of December the 1st, 2020. Report from Chair Bowers on the work session of December the 1st, 2020. Report from Chair Daniels on the work session of December the 1st, 2020. Report from Chair Green on the work session of December the 1st, 2020. And also report from Chair Majors on the work session of December 1st, 2020. We then move on to ordinance for first reading, which is Bill 21, 2020. It's our first reading. We move on for ordinance for amendment under Bill 14, 2020. We move on to ordinance for final passage. Bill 10, 2020, we will be voting on Monday. Bill 12 of 2020, we will be voting on that tonight. Moving on to Bill 14, 2020. Again, we will be moving on that bill on Monday. Bill 15 of 2020. We also will be voting on that on Monday's special legislative session. We move on to resolutions. Resolution 90 is a vote. Resolution 91 is a vote. Resolution 92 is a vote. Resolution 93 is a vote. Resolution 94 is a vote. Resolution 95 is a vote. Resolution 96 is a vote. Resolution 97 is a vote. Resolution 98 is a vote. Resolution 99 is a vote. And resolution 100 is a vote. Mr. Majors, are you going to read resolution 99 into record?
Yes, I can read resolution 99 into the record.
And then also read the resolution, please.
Okay, in its entirety, will do.
Okay.
Let me make sure I have it pulled up. Okay.
It is in your folder, Wes. And then also I can forward it to you if it's easier for you to have it via email.
Yeah, if you could forward to me, I've been having issues with VPN, so I don't always have access to the folder.
Okay, and then also, I don't know if Tiffany or Neil are on, but it was my understanding, President Williams, that resolution 100 was going to be voted on Monday to go along with the bill 21.
Okay, Neil had said something to me earlier, but I wasn't sure if he wanted to do that on Monday or not. Is he on? Neil or Tiffany, are you on? Okay.
They're not on.
But
They're not on yet.
But
no, we were scheduled to vote on resolution 100 on Monday.
Okay. Well, I know, Ms. Bowers, you put that forth, so I didn't know if you're voting on it or not. Okay.
Not tonight, on Monday.
Okay. Well, I will suspend the rules so we can talk about that, as well as resolution 21.
Okay.
You mean Bill 21?
Yeah,
Sorry.
Bill 20. I'm sorry, Bill 21.
That's right.
Okay.
I'm looking at the resolution, I'm like,
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Alec. Ms. Houston, all the folders, are they originals?
All the folders, I'm
Other-
not understanding.
All the legislation in the folders, are they originals? I'm sorry.
Yes, they are.
Okay, thank you. And I'll sign them and leave it on my desk.
Okay. West, resolution 99 was sent.
Thank you. I was just waiting for it to hit my inbox. I got two and yep, there it is. Thank you.
So I don't know if anyone's catching the news. The advisory committee for the FDA approved the vaccine.
Okay. Wow, okay. Hmm.
So I guess now the FDA has to sign off on it.
Yeah, I guess I'm assuming everybody saw the governor's orders.
Yeah, I have listened to the synopsis. I saw him on, but I was still working, so I need to actually go through and listen to the whole thing or read the whole thing.
Basically shut down again.
Is it gonna shut down again?
No indoor,
Wow.
yeah, no indoor dining, 50% capacity for retail establishments, gyms, movie theaters, closed. Yeah, I think at this point, our positivity rates and everything are extremely high, and this is out of an abundance of caution, and it's for 3 weeks. So it starts Saturday at midnight and runs through January 4th at 8 a.m.
Wow.
Yeah, we were up over 11,000. We were close to 12,000 cases today.
The Economist put out an article saying in their estimates that 1 in 5 Americans at this stage has gotten the virus or has it.
So retail stores are closed and everything are,
Retail 50% capacity. So they're not closed. They're just, they can operate at 50%. what are closed are gyms,
Yeah, okay.
casino, gyms, casinos, movie theaters, et cetera. It's
Wow.
it starts on Saturday. It's
They just like indoor and outdoor gathering and stuff like that too.
10 people.
10 people, yeah.
People indoor.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can eat outside, right, Wes?
Yeah.
Like yeah.
It is also you can eat
Outside now.
Yeah.
That's not what I'm eating. Good enough.
It's a hot dog from a stand. I'm going to keep moving. It's not stopping.
I don't know. A lot of establishments got really creative with the outdoor dining that it's pretty
They
much
have.
indoor dining.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting. But yeah, no,
Wow.
I think everyone feels for all of the restaurant and business owners right now. It's
Well, everyone working in like hospitality.
hospitality, our frontline workers. I don't think anyone's doing. Look, I watched the press conference and I don't know. I try not to speak on this stuff too much because of my job. But you could see on his face it didn't seem like it's something he wants to do, right? I don't think anyone wants to be in this position.
Well, and it's been killing me watching, the interviews with the frontline workers, and I mean, what they have to see every day and do every day, and like, you can't be human and not feel impacted by that.
Yeah, it's
There will be
dealing with a lot. We're all dealing with a lot right now.
It's going to be some long-term trauma behind this. I just wonder about mental health.
Oh yeah.
We're going to have to look at moving forward,
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah,
so
'cause
true.
especially with our young people.
I mean, the trauma of not being in school, not having that routine, I mean, I feel like I'm going stir crazy sometimes too. And I can, go somewhere, right?
You're not going crazy. Look, I got one upstairs and one downstairs during the day.
Oh, you're talking about your grandkids or your great grandkids?
Yeah. I saw an interview with a young lady who had a special needs child, and I can only it was heart-wrenching. That lack of, stability and it's tough, people with special needs, children in particular. It's got to be
Right.
It's very difficult.
There's no winners in this. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like, I think that's the thing that stinks. This is not like, I know it's been so highly politicized, but it's not like, I mean, it impacts people. And I wish it wasn't politicized because of the impact on people and their lives.
All right, we're coming up at 6 o'clock here, so we'll start, if you're ready, President Williams.
Yes, I am. Thank you very much.
We'll start with the intro here.
Okay. Go ahead. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Harrisburg City Council Special Legislative Session. Today is Thursday, December 10th, 2020. I'm now calling this meeting to order at 6 o'clock p.m. Ms. Houston, please do the roll call. Ms. Houston.
Give me a second, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't know if you heard me.
Hang on. Mr. Allett,
Present.
Ms. Bowers,
Present.
Ms. Daniels,
Here.
Ms. Green,
Present.
Mr. Madsen,
Here.
Mr. Majors,
Here,
President Williams.
Present. Thank you, Ms. Houston. Moving on to the invocation, Mr. Madsen.
Yes, thank you, President Williams. A few major passings in the community the past week here. We lost civil rights icon locally, Reginald Guy, He was the co-founder of the MLK Institute. I actually had the privilege of taking the MLK Institute a few years ago. Really learned a lot from those courses and became an even better civil rights activist. And the program is still ongoing despite his passing. As a matter of fact, he's encouraging everyone to make a donation to the program. Details are out there for that. So I've made a small monetary donation. So if anybody's would like to do that, that's a good way to honor his legacy. We also lost Juan Carter, who was a AFSCME staff rep. He actually worked at the Harrisburg incinerator for many years. Was a good man. I had the privilege of working with him at the Capital Region United Way. He was my community services director there, and it was just a massive loss. He tragically passed away to complications from COVID-19. So he's a Southside resident and just a good family man, and he will be very, very missed as well. So if we could just honor their legacy through a moment of silence, be much appreciated. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Mattson. Moving on to the Pledge of Allegiance, Mr. Alec.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Before I begin with the courtesy of the floor, of course, I have to make a statement. 16 years ago, I took a sworn oath to do my judiciary duties as an elected official for the city of Harrisburg. Faced sometimes with heated debates, and other times coming together and achieving beneficial outcomes for the citizens of Harrisburg. 8 years ago, this city was on the brink of financial ruin to the tune of $638 million deficit. Long days, many hours, negotiating with numerous officials and attorneys. The city was able to resolve the debt. There have been many concerns, many comments, questions regarding the budget. First and foremost, I want to say to the residents of the city of Harrisburg, members of the council body would never rush or make a hasty decision. The budget process has been the same process since I have been a member. This procedure is our standard procedural process. The same time for members of council have an opportunity to review the budget, the community also has been given an opportunity. That includes a period of going on the city website and submit comments and questions, as well as a period of time for additional comments at the meetings. Having some people threaten not to consider voting for anyone on this council because you are upset is offensive. And I will not be intimidated. I have sat on this council for 16 years and never slacked on my responsibilities to this community. I have people coming to my residence unannounced, calling my phone sun up and sun down, stopping me in my private time at the grocery store or sitting in a restaurant. I don't complain about these things because I'm here to serve the residents of this city. I take my responsibility as a council member seriously and as a priority. On the demand for cutting monies from the police budget, I feel any forms of cuts to public safety puts all of our residents at risk and may not be practical, but grossly will affect the health, safety, and welfare of Harrisburg residents. I'm not saying we don't have some issues in public safety, because we do, that need to be corrected, but not having public safety is not good for the Harrisburg area. Harrisburg City Council body serves an entire city, not just a handful and the decisions we make is for the greater good of the entire community. The council body presently sitting today are intelligent, responsible, professional, and hardworking elected officials who take their duties seriously and will go to extreme measures to reach a positive outcome. Although we may agree and disagree, we always come together in unity. Thank you. And now we'll move on to courtesy of the floor, Ms. Houston.
Okay, the first comment tonight is from Rachel Lee Peacock. And Rachel says, "Dear City Council, I am a tax-paying and land-owning citizen of Harrisburg. I am also a public servant like yourselves. Honestly, I don't have time to write a unique, well-written essay every day. I work a full-time volunteer. I work a full-time volunteer at several local organizations and maintain my household. Just because some of my language is similar doesn't mean my perspective isn't valid. I would also like to point out that y'all are having this current meeting on one of my people's most sacred holidays. The Festival of Lights is extremely important to me. Lighting the candles symbolizes how one spark can change everything if we hold out. To me, it means help is on the way and we can't let our hope fade. A lot of people are dying and I believe we all need a little bit of joy. Instead of celebrating, I'm listening to this meeting. Y'all would never have dared to do this on a Christian holiday. The world is very dark right now. Like my ancestors were for me, I am under siege yet again. Instead of it being the Greeks, it's the Harrisburg Police Department. Just like my ancestors, I was attacked during a celebration. The Harrisburg Police Department bum rushed me, maced me, and kidnapped my friend, Dr. Campbell. This event has decreased my vision, created lower back problems, and made me feel unsafe in my own city. A few months ago, I mentioned how I was more likely to be killed by police than to die while being deployed. This statement almost became a self-fulfilling prophecy. Eric Carter and Grover claimed 3 days ago they sometimes don't have the time or resources to answer noise complaints. Yet they were able to allocate 3 squad cars for a noise complaint directed at Black people in Shipoke. It makes you wonder what the difference is between Shipoke and Allison Hill. We all know the answer is skin color. Eric doesn't care about the Black and brown folks. Eric lied about what happened that night. The only noise you hear is the dogs and then me. If the police can't be trusted to hand out a simple citation, why are we giving Eric and the police more money? Also, where is the extra almost $3 million coming from? Didn't y'all say last night that you're not getting the expected funds from the parking authority? Didn't y'all say that you aren't getting the funds from business taxes? Are you going to tax folks more? Harrisburg residents already have too many taxes. Is federal, state, local sales, property, and a random school bill from the evil Keystone services not enough? Folks are losing their jobs, homes, and hope. I'm a financial management analyst for the federal government. Our funding structure is completely different, but from my expertise, the city's budget isn't solvable. In my business class, I learned the easiest way to save money is to cut employees. Unless you're willing to take those funds from your own paycheck, I suggest y'all vote no. The last 2 days have been a horse and pony show. No data means no dollars. Y'all can't undo me getting maced. Y'all can't undo my friend Dr. Campbell getting kidnapped. The city is under attack from the pandemic known as police brutality. I hope we will be like my forefather, Judah McCabe, and win against the invalidating force that says my existence is wrong. May your festival of light be litty. Rachel Peacock of Midtown. Next comment is from Harlem McKinney, North Front Street. And their comment is, "Dear City Council, I hope this comment finds you well. As a member of the Harrisburg community, I would like to voice my concerns with the proposed 2021 budget of the city of Harrisburg. On November 24th, 2019, Mayor Papenfu, I'm assuming that is a typo, Mayor Papenfu presented his proposal for the 2021 budget, which included an astronomical financial increase for the Harrisburg Bureau of Police. As a member of the community, I would urge you to provide the community with more time to review this budget. While on the surface, more jobs may appear to be an economical boost to the community, the reality is it would be in poor taste to employ 21 new bodies to an already ill-equipped staff. The disconnect between the police and the community is not bridged by further mishandling of funds. While our community continues to suffer, there needs to be data transparency from the mayor and the Harrisburg Police. However, because this data is never produced, the extra funds should be allocated towards improving the community through housing investments, such as providing relief for the hundreds of families who are up for eviction due to the current pandemic. City Council has until December 31st, 2020 to pass this budget. The rush to push this budget through without the input from the community would be a huge disservice to the community you claim to love and serve. Regards, Harlan McKinney. This message is from Angela Kirkland of the 1500 block of 2nd Street. And City Council, the way that you allow public comment for these meetings is not accessible to many. It is not feasible to many. It's stressful for people to have such limited time to submit thoughtful emails by a deadline that is prior to the end of many folks' work days. We have jobs, we have families, we have lives. We elected y'all, and you don't want to make it easier for us to be involved. And when some of us do overcome the barriers you implement, we risk not being heard at all because it takes too long to read these messages, or you're convinced they'll all sound the same. Perhaps wonder if these comments seem to repeat because there is a pattern of issues we are trying to make you address. If you are going to insist on not allowing people to call into the meetings, you need to at least prioritize the emails and have them read as the start of each meeting, every last one. Cutting off public comments is reprehensible behavior as an elected official, particularly when there is such a burden placed on the community by said elected official to even get comments submitted. It has been clear that despite you all being elected and paid to serve the residents of Harrisburg City, something you actively campaigned for, some of you truly resent being held to account by any of us in any way. So, some of you don't have community concerns in mind, which is why you're trying to ram through a budget that gives 1 out of every 5 city dollars to the police department, which has yet to provide data to back up claims of deserving any additional funds. And you're doing this in the middle of a pandemic where more of us than ever are vulnerable to emergencies that can destabilize entire lives. We are witnessing this, and we will remember this next year. Angela Kirkland. Next comment is from Leah M. Davis of the Harrisburg Midtown area. The vote of the city budget should be delayed for further, hang on a second, for further review. The percentage of the budgets spent on policing our citizens is reprehensible. It is a waste of taxpayer dollars. Those taxes should be going back into the community. Affordable housing, infrastructure, investment, and investment into community care programs is crime prevention. We should not be spending this much money on our police force when we are already struggling with getting enough funds to cover necessary programs. We certainly should not be increasing the police budget by any means. There needs to be more transparency with where this money is going. Increasing the police budget is directly defunding other necessary programs for the city, and there is not a good enough reason to reallocate those funds from those deserved programs. I'm furious and will remember this come next year. Leah M. Davis. 1 second here. This is from Peter Fair, Uptown Harrisburg resident. Hello, I am once again writing in regards to the 2021 budget proposal. It is appalling that our city council is trying to give the Harrisburg City Police millions of new dollars when there are swaths of the city that need basic upkeep and care. Folks need care and community resources rather than more policing. Harrisburg residents deserve so much better than Mayor Pappenfuss and City Council are offering us. The residents were the ones who have elected all of y'all, and we are telling you that we do not want more money to go towards the police budget. The money could be better used to fix our roads, sidewalks, and making the city overall more accessible. I urge City Council to rethink this budget and think about what the residents are asking for and to vote with us. Next comment is from Dre Sija of the Midtown Harrisburg area. And give me 1 second here. Okay. Due to your 4 p.m. deadline, I was unable to submit on the 2 previous days. Like many others, I was working during the allotted time to submit. Who else is silenced by this process? During the last few council meetings, I have witnessed the misgendering of several of my transgender and non-binary neighbors. Explicit directions about how to avoid misgendering were sent, yet misgendering persists, which only discourages transgender and non-binary residents from submitting. When you misgender residents, you put their employment, housing, safety, well-being, and privacy online. Do better. What's even worse is that when residents do submit comments or publicly voice concern, they aren't listened to. For years, people have been voicing their need for community resource funding. However, when the budget was introduced, we received notice of an increase in nearly $3 million to the HPD. The Harrisburg Police Department has already proven they cannot spend down their money. And after countless instances of brutality and misuse of power, why would we give them a single cent more? Harrisburg residents don't even have full transparency of the Harrisburg Police Department data. How can we possibly know anything about their operations if we cannot see the data for ourselves? So what data can we rely on? After school programs. And then there's an insert to a link for American Psychological Association. Housing services, there's a link for Housing Matters, whose article includes several scholarly sources. Expanding and accessible healthcare, mental health, and substance abuse treatments. And then he has links, or excuse me, for the referral of they have links to National Bureau of Economic Research, Journal of Public Economics, Harvard of Health Publishing, are all proven forms of crime prevention. So what could you do with $3 million? If rent was $1,200, you could pay for rent for 2,500 apartments. Provide $100 grocery gift cards to 30,000 people who are trying to feed their families during a pandemic. Increase access to public transit by buying 60,000 monthly CAT transit bus passes. Pay for 75 school counselors at a salary of $40,000 or 66 school counselors at $45K. Pay for 37,500 hotel rooms in emergency housing situations. Purchase nearly 35,300 textbooks for Harrisburg students. Increase access to mental health services by providing 12,000 one-hour therapy sessions. These are just numbers I could find for individual items. And of course, this $3 million could be spread across social services that help people meet their basic human needs. We could totally reimagine Harrisburg and what it has to offer to its residents. I ask that the budget not be passed to support the $3 million to the Harrisburg Police Department, and that instead the money should be distributed across accessible, affordable housing and community services and initiatives that ensure the quality of life and well-being of Harrisburg residents. I just want to personally apologize for reading these public comments and addressing anybody's gender in the inappropriate manner. That was never my intention to offend anybody. There's another comment from Vishal Pajba, the Midtown Harrisburg area. Harrisburg City Council's conduct yesterday was embarrassing to residents. Council answers to the residents. We do not answer to council. I cannot believe that after hearing the people are not engaged enough throughout this year, that council would be so vocally upset when people do take an interest. I'm tired of certain council members and Eric gaslighting citizens. You all keep telling us we need to pay more attention, attend more meetings, and participate more. Then you make it difficult for us to do that. Then when you do that anyway, you can't abide that we might have negative feedback. In case any of you forgot, you work for us. We fund the city, we work here, we live here. We get to complain and you get to listen. If you don't pay attention, we will remember when we vote. That said, the public still needs more time to go over the budget and respond with suggestions. We cannot pass Eric's budget as it is without a longer review process. He has shown that his interests are not always aligned with resident interests. We should raise the police budget while the police continue their campaign to keep us in the dark. No data, no dollars. Please extend the budget timeline. The next comment is from Pamela Parson of South Allison Hill. Good evening, City Council. I would like to draw your attention back to the beginning of the first budget hearing on Tuesday, December 8th. During the initial discussion about revenue projections, concerns were raised about not only about the continuing of COVID-19 economic impacts, but also the financial effects of a natural disaster. What would happen if the pandemic continues or there would be another type of emergency declaration? Should we be drawing down the emergency fund to meet all line item amounts that are in the current budget? Would we be pressed into restructuring and delaying Harrisburg debt, which is what we always do? There was little discussion following, and this important concern was shrugged off as, but there is FEMA, so we'd probably be okay. While that abrupt end of that line of discussion surprised me, I knew the police and others were waiting to testify to their portions of the budget. I thought council would circle back to take a second look at those revenue concerns. However, at the close of last night's hearing, it became clear to me those discussions were unlikely to happen. So here we are in the middle of a pandemic whose ending is yet uncertain, along with facing even more rapid climate change with the potential for natural disasters and related emergency declarations. And still we have the largest increase in the police budget in Harrisburg history. And no discussion about disaster planning itself, except to say, we'll let that up to FEMA. This thinking is insane and clearly does not meet the needs of the people who live in Harrisburg. But then again, council does seem to want to fatten the police budget without seeing any data or plans. So why look at data to plan for disasters? The average rainfall in Harrisburg, as well as the number and amounts of downpours, have been steadily increasing in the last decade. This is not so much about Susquehanna River flooding, although we know that it is devastating, but instead about the impacts of flash flooding, the damage to infrastructure and the damage to our environment and uncontrolled runoff, and the danger to people. The question and concerns about revenue and impact on the general fund after 2 hearings remain largely unexamined, along with the many new issues raised last night. Council would best serve the residents of Harrisburg by slowing down the budget process, being open and encouraging of public input, and significantly reducing the overall budget by eliminating most of the new items and positions in the police budget until such time as we all can see the demographics and data. No data, no dollars. Pamela Parson. And This comment is from Winnie O. 13th Street resident. Greetings again. I'd like to reiterate, no data, no funds. I'd like to see clear justification as to how these increased funds to the police will actually practically aid the community regarding public safety and security without first addressing the more pressing issues of economic disenfranchisement, over policing of certain neighborhoods and demographics, ineffective community interactions in certain areas, lacking educational budgets, mental health assistance, failing infrastructure, and inadequate housing options. All these cofactors directly influence the outcome of a safe and secure community without the need for a Band-Aid solution such as simply increasing police officer liaisons. Furthermore, why aren't public comments the first things on the docket to set the tone of the conversation? If you can willingly waste over 4 hours on irrelevant pandering to the police department, surely a few voices of concerned citizens shouldn't be a bother. It is your duty, after all, as city council representatives to listen, empathize, and address the key concerns of your constituents. If you have grown weak and weary of listening to your constituency, perhaps consider a different line of service, with all due respect. If you're upset at a mere 49 people for participating in the unfair process of performative community engagement, how much angrier would you be if 49,000 residents participated? Is it the content, quantity, or just general participation that besets you? I read the room. It is literally your whole job to hear, represent, and address the needs, cries of your constituents, even though you may disagree with the comments. I've heard of a saying along the lines, if 3 or more people tell you you're drunk, sit down and listen for a second. They may be seeing something you ain't. Instead of disregarding, censoring similar comments, give them the weight they truly deserve and reiterating a strong need in the community. Please remove the barriers to true community participation and allow for various means of communication and feedback from folks of all walks of life that reside within our city. Sincerely, Winnie Okello. And there is one more comment, and it is from Kamika Campbell. Dear members of City Council, it was extremely upsetting to watch Wanda completely disrespect and degrade her fellow colleagues and all Harrisburg City residents when the Hurston Manor incident of 2020 occurred. Wanda was locked in step with Eric to call out what she saw as disrespectful behavior. So here is her call out. How she treated councilpersons Daniels and Majors on Wednesday evening was reprehensible and disgusting. Not only should she be ashamed, which we know she won't be, her pride has dulled her sense of respect for her constituents and colleagues, but she owes them an apology. Will she make the apology before the public tonight, or will she let her disrespectful tantrums exist unchecked and tarnish her 16-year legacy? She is not the council president or leader that Harrisburg deserves any longer. In fact, she is a danger to the position. On Wednesday, she stated that she would never curtail public comment, but in the same meeting, she instructed Shardan Houston not to read similar comments and continues to refuse to make city council meetings accessible to all residents in a timely manner. She tried to call out councilperson Majors for playing too small to a small group of residents when she makes it extremely difficult for any residents to participate in council meetings and hearings. All of these issues are at the discretion of the council president. She needs to make it easier and not harder for residents to participate. Then she and Ben can get the diversity of thought they are looking for from residents. She has intimated to the public that she will not run again, and I hope she keeps her word. Ben indicated last night that he didn't want the public to get hung up on just one part of the police budget when there were so many great things in it. Well, Ben, we would not be hung up on this part of the budget if it wasn't the largest increase to the police bureau in Harrisburg's history. How dare you pretend that that isn't significant and that we aren't paying attention? We literally named every part of the budget that we thought those extra funds should go to. In particular, residents are concerned about housing. This difficult to obtain $5,000 allotment from the city isn't enough in the middle of a pandemic, especially when Eric, the incompetent, is proposing to overfund the police bureau, as if the city residents weren't going through enough already. Not only are we for those parts of the budget that actually help residents, but we are also advocating for not overfunding the police and giving more to a bureau that is extremely ineffective and holds such contempt for residents. The council needs to delay this budget. Wanda needs to stop showing so much rageful disdain for residents and the council. And Eric, the incompetent, needs to actually respond to residents who have been looking for him for the entire year. I hope he doesn't think that trying to force the budget through with significant ramifications for residents is doing him any favors. 2021 is coming. I hope you all have a great meeting. Kamika Campbell. And that is the last comment for public comment tonight.
You gotta unmute yourself, Wanda.
Thank you, Ms. Houston. And as far as you're concerned, Ms. Campbell, I will apologize to the public, but you need to take the same consideration and apologize to the police force for the manner that you displayed, for all the words that you feel that you have a master's degree or doctorate degree you did not utilize. We will now move on to approval of minutes, approval of the legislative session minutes of November the 24th, 2020. Are there any omissions, deletions, or corrections, council members? Hearing none, the minutes will stand as approved. We now move on to reports of committees. Report from Chair Allett on the work session of December the 1st, 2020. Mr. Allett, are you ready with your report?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay.
So reporting on actually both the work session of December 1st, 2020 and the budget hearings that occurred on December 8th and December 9th, Tuesday and Wednesday of this past week. First up on the work session of December 1st, we had resolution 90 for discussion, which was regarding the plan to kind of consolidate and resolve, or at least the debt reconsolidation regarding the AMBAC deal. It set the terms that we can work with and save some potential long-term interest as well as principal by working with a new plan going forward. So that is up for discussion. This has been an ongoing process that began pre-COVID and kind of continuous picked up to be able to move forward with. And I wanted to thank Dan Conley, who had really spearheaded this effort and really worked hard to work with us on this deal. I think it's a good approach for us to take to help really, in some ways, kind of resolve some of the lasting bad debt deals that we had in the past and kind of good at make a strong step forward. So encourage my colleagues to support this resolution. Also up for discussion was resolution 94. This is a resolution that would authorize a continuation of the contract with Maverick Strategies, who will lobby on behalf of the city with the state. There was a good portion of the discussion during this discussion of the contract that was devoted to their efforts to help bring about the decision to extend the taxing authority that Harrisburg has pertaining to the LST and earned income tax for up to 10 years, which was a pleasant surprise for many of us as we were looking. We did not expect that to come out of the budget deal with the state. So that was a big part of some of the things they accomplished. During the discussion with them, they talked about some focus for additional things in the future, perhaps dealing with RCAP, really helping to represent the city's interests on the Hill. So this contract is up for a vote for this evening. Also up for a vote this evening is resolution 97. This is a contract for consulting services related to the city's FDA retail standards. And this is with Malkia Goldberg and Associates. We had a very good discussion about some of the work that we have been doing in the city. So we are looking forward to this contract, and this will also be up for vote this evening as well. In terms of just reporting on the budget hearings, I know it's kind of fresh in our mind. We have had extensive discussions regarding the budget. We have made the decision to postpone the vote of the budget to Monday. And this is to allow for the complete formulation of some of the amendments that I know some colleagues are working on, and also to get some further definition in terms of some of the response to particularly the co-responders and the relationship with the county and that role. We've been getting some additional information, so we'll make sure that we can fine tune that information kind of going forward and know exactly what that will look like in terms of the budget. We also have some confirmation of agreement from the mayor pertaining to the role of the CSAs. There probably will be an amendment that will reduce the amount of CSAs that are proposed in the budget, therefore reducing the law enforcement budget. And also an agreement from the mayor to include our public safety chair in the hiring process of these roles, which I think will be a great way to really incorporate council's perspective in that process. I don't know if I said that to you, Asha, so if that's a surprise, hey, welcome. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there in terms of that. There's also discussion, obviously, looking at what to do with unused personnel funds on a quarterly basis. I did have a conversation with the mayor, and we thought in some respects we could create a list of things that those funds could go to. On that list included help with blight demolition, which was an idea that Councilmember Bowers had brought to the table, as well as perhaps some help for small business loans as a result of some of the COVID response. Something the mayor and I also talked about as well is that we will have a sense of where things stand regarding the pandemic at the end of Q1, that we might want to leave some objectivity coming back to council if there's some additional COVID response we'd want to take from a monetary standpoint that makes sense based on that quarter. Either way, the agreement that the mayor and I had discussed was to have that decision to come back to council to finalize exactly what those unused funds could go to and make sure that we are appropriating that correctly. But all the things that have been discussed are very much welcome things that we could put those funds to. Put those funds to. Outside of that, I do want to encourage council members to, if they have specific amendments still, the sooner the better to get them over to myself and to Neil specifically, so we can make sure that we can do the proper look at how that would impact the budget one way or the other. I do want to personally say too, I take very seriously the things that are said in public comment. I do not mean to dissuade public comment. I do not mean to misrepresent the perspective of public comment, nor do I want those making public comment to misrepresent what I've said as part of the process. And to Dr. Green's last comment, I did not try to detract from the public comment. I just wanted to emphasize that there is a larger picture at play with this budget and the things that we're funding. And my perspective often when we have these discussions around appropriating funds to various areas, whether it be public safety, building housing, capital improvements, no matter what those things are, sometimes the conversation is not an end or. Sometimes that conversation is an end to end. The needs are plenty in our city. I've witnessed since my term began in 2014 that the list is always long in terms of the things that we can do and focus on. But at the end of the day, each of us is tasked with coming together to make a decision that could, keep moving us in the right direction and in a different direction as well. Again, not to dissuade public comment, not to, even desensitize the need for public comment. It's an important part of the process. And I do also want to send a greater thanks to members of the community. Over the last 3 days, I probably have had to charge my phone twice a day. I've received countless phone calls, emails, and outreach from the residents. The amount of interest in what we're doing this year in terms of the budget, and I know I've always asked for it year over year, saying that the budgetary process is the most important thing that we do. And it also seems to be the least watched and least paid attention to thing that we've done. but the amount of interest in the budget this year has been overwhelming. I do want to thank all of the residents who've reached out to me both personally, through email, through phone calls, through the public comment on here. I do appreciate everyone's sentiment. The city has a diverse and varied opinion on how we should do things. And it is something that we are used to hearing, and we know that it's part of the responsibility to listen and to hear. And I know that each of us on this dais, well, we're not on the dais now, but when we are on the dais, we take that very seriously. And it is part of being in public service, and it's something that none of us take lightly on that. So with that, I'd like to conclude my committee comments. I believe I mentioned, if I didn't, that the plan is to vote at the special legislative session on Monday for the budget. So thank you for your time. And actually, I do want to thank again all the members of the administration, city employees, council members. We logged exactly, I think, 11 and a half hours of budget hearings over 2 days. So thank you for your commitment being part of that process. It may have been a record. So again, congratulations on being part of a record-breaking budget hearing process. So I will conclude my comments, and I will turn that back over to Council President.
Thank you, Mr. Alec. We now will hear from report from Chair Bowers on the work session of December 1st, 2020. Ms. Bowers, are you ready with your report?
Yes, I am. Thank you, President Williams.
You're welcome.
Good evening. On Tuesday, December 1st, 2020, the Building and Housing Committee met during the council's work session to discuss Resolution 93 of 2020. Resolution 93 of 2020 is a resolution authorizing the City of Harrisburg to negotiate and enter into a multi-year agreement with Property Registration Champions, LLC, to register vacant, abandoned, and foreclosed properties within the city. Mr. Kevin Sedella of Property Registration Champions, LLC, was present to respond to questions. Mr. Sedella shared the goal of the service is to ensure the codes enforcement team has the correct data that they need. The average number of properties registered annually is approximately 300. The initial agreement entered into began on December 3rd, 2015, and terminated on December 2nd, 2020. The agreement set forth in Resolution 93 will automatically renew for a further one-year term. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Bowers. We now move to report from Chair Daniels on the work session of December 1st, 2020. Ms. Daniels, are you ready with your report?
Yes. On December 1st, we met to discuss Resolution 92. That resolution allows for the city to submit an application for reimbursement or rebate of $36,000 to help the city put in for EV charging stations on City Island. That would bring the city's number up to 8. Excuse me, up to 8. The purpose of those is the manner in which they will be used is to charge cars from the city's fleet at evening, and during the day residents would be able to use it. It should save us about $10,000 per year in gas and oil and car maintenance expenses. Excuse me. And then in addition to that, it will help us as we transition our city's transportation fleet into a lower emission transportation fleat. So that was pretty much it. All council members were present, and the person speaking on behalf of the resolution was Christopher Nave. And that's it. I would just like to ask my fellow council members to support the resolution.
Next, we'll have a report from Chair Green on the work session of December 1st, 2020. Ms. Green, are you ready with your report?
Yes, I am. Thank you, President Williams.
You're welcome.
During the work session of December 1st, 2020, the Public Safety Committee met to discuss 2 pieces of legislation. The first piece of legislation was Resolution 91 of 2020, which is a resolution authorizing the City of Harrisburg to negotiate and enter into a domestic animal protection service agreement with the Humane Society of Harrisburg area. to provide services to the City of Harrisburg's Animal Control Program. This is an annual contract with the Humane Society that comes about this time every year. There weren't any substantial changes to this contract. The second resolution that we discussed was Resolution 98, which is a resolution authorizing the City of Harrisburg to negotiate and enter into professional service agreement with Murray Associates Architects, PC, for the purpose of providing architectural and interior design services related to alterations to the existing flooring in 2 firehouses. We spoke with Chief Enterline, who gave us a little overview of what the project was. And we asked how they chose to go with this company. He says that they're a local company that they've done work with in the past and that they're confident in the quality of work that they provide. So I would ask that my council members support these 2 resolutions and vote in favor of them tonight. Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Green. Now we move on to report from Chair Majors on the work session of December 1st, 2020. Mr. Majors, are you ready with your report?
Yes, I am, President Williams.
Thank
On
you.
Tuesday, December 1st, the Public Works Committee met to consider 2 resolutions, Resolution 95 of 2020 and Resolution 96 of 2020. Both resolutions are authorizing the cities of Harrisburg to negotiate and enter into intergovernmental cooperation agreements with 2 boroughs, the borough of Pembroke and the borough of Paxton, respectively, for the city to provide municipal solid waste and recycling collection and disposal services with those respective boroughs. We heard from our Public Works team, as well as the Law Bureau and the mayor, to go over these agreements. All of these agreements are set to begin at the beginning of the year and have been approved by the respective boroughs. This is an opportunity for the city of Harrisburg to work with our surrounding municipalities to provide sanitation services. Our sanitation director, Mr. Dave West, is working with those to run the routes so that when we do take over these routes, we won't have any disruption of service to our city residents, and we will be picking up these other contracts. New exhibits were sent around earlier today just to provide some cleanup language and ensure that both exhibits all are reflective of all the changes. And I would encourage my members to vote in the affirmative on both resolutions. And this concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Majors. Moving on to ordinance first reading. Ms. Houston, would you read Bill 21, 2020 into record, please?
Bill 21 of 2020, is an emergency ordinance amending Chapter 3-355 of Title III, the Public Safety Code, by adding Part 2 supplemental emergency powers to provide temporary direct supplemental local authority to implement remedial measures to address public health emergencies during an extended state of emergency, including moratoriums on the eviction, ejectment, or removal of families, households, or individuals from a residential dwelling, unit, or rooming house. Providing exceptions thereto, providing increased fines and penalties for violators, authorizing the adoption of emergency regulations, and making technical conforming amendments.
Okay, that's our first reading. We will discuss this on Monday unless council members want to discuss this today. I will suspend the rules. Okay, so we will suspend the rules on Monday and discuss this, Bill 21. We now move on to ordinance for amendment, Bill 14, 2020. Ms. Houston, please read that into the record.
Bill 14 of 2020 is an ordinance establishing the budget for the municipal government of the city of Harrisburg for the year 2021.
And we also will, is there any amendments attached to Bill 14 at the present time?
Not at the present time yet.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Mr. Allen.
Not at the present time yet.
Okay, and then when we will vote on that on Monday, and then any other additional amendments we will address on that day as well. We now move on to ordinance for final passage, Bill 10, 2020. Ms. Houston, please read that into record as well.
Bill 10 of 2020 is an ordinance vacating and striking from the official map of the city of Harrisburg various unnamed Paper streets within the block bounded by Radnor Street, Jefferson Street, Columbia Street, and North 6th Street, and Agate Street between Columbia Street and Radnor Street pursuant to Chapter 3-109 of the Codified, ordinances of the City of Harrisburg.
Okay, Mr. Majors has indicated that he would like to contact residents again just to make sure that the information he received prior to this. So we will vote on that on Monday. Am I correct, Mr. Majors?
Yes, yeah, you're correct, President Williams. We will, I'm asking to have Bill 10 placed on the calendar for Monday's special session for a vote. There are still a few items that we have to try to make sure we're good with the resident
Okay,
issue.
thank you. Moving on to Bill 20 of 2020, Ms. Houston, would you please read that into record?
Bill 12 or Bill 20?
I'm sorry, Bill 12, I apologize.
Bill 12 of 2020 is an ordinance amending zoning regulations related to the establishment and operation of bed and breakfast uses, including Chapter 7-305.7B, 7-305.7C, 7-309.2H, and 7-33.2A24 of the zoning code of the City of Harrisburg.
Council members, are there any additional questions, comments? Ms. Bowers?
Thank you. I've received some information prior to the start of our meeting this evening, and at this time, I would like to defer to Ms. Tiffany Baldock, our Senior Deputy City Solicitor, to share an update regarding a request that we received from Mr. and Mrs. Wilson. I believe Mr. Wilson is on the line, the owners of the Manor on Front Bed and Breakfast.
Okay. Ms. Baldock, are you?
Thank you, Councilwoman Bowers and President Williams. Yes, after the public hearing, and I think during the public hearing, the Wilsons had requested an amendment to the proposed ordinance, and that would be on line 93. They are requesting an amendment to change it from 1 non-resident employee to 2 non-resident employees. So if that's something that council would like to consider, we would need a motion from City Council.
Ms. Bowers?
What is your pleasure? Does anyone have any questions or comments regarding the proposed amendment?
Maybe just some background by way of what necessitates the change. Is it just, it can be basic as far as I know. I just want to know a little bit of the background of what brought us to that amendment.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Wilson, if you wouldn't mind sharing.
Sure, absolutely, thank you. The reason for that change that we'd like to make is when we get to the amount of 14 rooms, we need more than 1 employee, and that's the reason. That would work, let's say, if you had 4 rooms or so, but when we get to our maximum rooms, we would definitely need 2 employees.
Understood. That makes sense to me. Thank you.
Yeah, it does.
Thank you.
Are there any further questions for Mr. Wilson or Ms. Baldock? Okay, seeing none, I move to amend line 93 from non-resident employee to 2 non-resident employees.
Make a motion. Motion for amendment from Ms. Bowers. Do we have a second?
Yes, a second.
Questions or comments on the amendment?
Yeah, just,
Mr. Majors?
okay, yeah, just one. So with respect, oh, sorry. With respect to this second employee, that would only kick in should there have a occupancy over a certain limit, or is this just 2 non-residential employees, period?
Is it okay for me to answer that?
Sure, that's fine, Mr. Wilson.
Okay. No, we would definitely need 2 non-resident employees, no matter what our workload is. I know usually we're around 60% occupancy, which is, a large majority of the rooms. Did that
Okay.
answer your question?
Yeah, I was also just speaking to the ordinance as a whole for any further section, not just this particular one, since this would amend it for any bed and breakfast. So it would just be 2, they can have, no matter the number of staff. Okay, thank you. That's
Sorry.
You're fine. Thank you.
Okay, any additional questions or comments on the amendment? Hearing none, Ms. Houston, please call the vote on the amendment.
Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Ms. Bowers,
Yes.
Ms. Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Mattson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
President Williams.
Yes,
The amendment passes 7-0.
please call the Bill 12 as amended for a vote.
Thank you very much.
Bill 12 as amended. Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Ms. Bowers,
Yes.
Ms. Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Madsen,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
President Williams.
Yes,
Resolution 12 of 2020 as amended passes.
thank you very much. We now move on to Bill 14, 2020.
Thank you to all, please. Thank you.
You're welcome, Mr. Wilson.
Thank you.
Bill 14 of 2020 is an ordinance establishing the budget for the municipal government of the city of Harrisburg for the year 2021. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, as I said previously, we will vote on this on Monday. So we'll move on to Bill 15 of 2020.
Bill 15 of 2020 is an ordinance amending the codified ordinances of the city of Harrisburg, Title 5, Licensing and Taxation, Part 5, Real Estate Taxes, Chapter 5-501, Property Tax Improvements, and providing for the distribution of taxes levied and assessed, and providing for a tax rebate for the difference between the tax due and attributable to the year 2021 tax levy over the tax due and attributable to the year 2006 take levy of qualifying senior citizens.
Bill 15 also will be voted on Monday as per request of our finance chair. We now move on to resolutions. Resolution 90 of 2020. Please read that into record, Ms. Houston.
Resolution 90 of 2020 is a resolution of the City Council of the City of Harrisburg approving the provisions of a term sheet to modify and amend the second amended and restated settlement agreement between the City of Harrisburg and AMBAC Assurance Corporation.
Okay, is any further questions or comments on Resolution 90 of 2020? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Sorry, Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Ms. Bowers,
Yes.
Ms. Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Madsen,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
President Williams.
Yes,
Resolution 90 of 2020 passes.
thank you. Now we move on to Resolution 91 of 2020.
Resolution 91 of 2020 is a resolution authorizing the City of Harrisburg to negotiate and enter into a domestic animal protective services agreement with the Humane Society of Harrisburg area to provide services to the City of Harrisburg's animal control program.
Is there any additional questions or comments on Resolution 91, council members? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Ms. Bowers,
Yes.
Ms. Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Madsen,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
President Williams.
Yes.
Resolution 91 of 2020 passes.
Moving on to Resolution 92 of 2020.
Resolution 92 of 2020 is a resolution ratifying the City of Harrisburg's application for a driving PA Ford Level 2 EV charging rebate for $36,000 to help offset the cost of installing 4 EV additional dual plug charging stations on City Island.
Is there any additional questions or comments, council members? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Mr. Allett?
Yes.
Ms. Bowers?
Yes.
Ms. Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Mattson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
President Williams.
Yes.
Resolution 92 of 2020, 92 of 2020 passes.
Thank you, Ms. Houston. Moving on to Resolution 93.
Resolution 93 of 2020 is a resolution authorizing the city of Harrisburg to negotiate and enter into a multi-year agreement with Property Registration Champions LLC to register vacant, abandoned, and foreclosed properties within the city.
Is there any additional questions or comments, council members? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Ms. Bowers,
Yes.
Ms. Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Mattson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
President Williams.
Yes.
Resolution 93 of 2020 passes.
Moving on to Resolution 94.
Resolution 94 of 2020 is a resolution authorizing the city of Harrisburg to enter into a professional services contract with Maverick Strategies for strategic guidance and intelligence gathering for lobbying related services.
Any additional questions or comments, council members? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Ms. Bowers,
Yes.
Ms. Daniels,
No.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Mattson,
No.
Mr. Majors,
No.
President Williams.
Yes.
Resolution, 94 of 2020 passes.
Moving on to Resolution 95.
Resolution 95 of 2020 is a resolution authorizing the city of Harrisburg to negotiate and enter into an intergovernmental cooperation agreement with the borough of Pembroke for the purpose of authorizing the city to provide municipal solid waste, recycling, collection, and disposal services within the borough.
Any additional questions or comments on Resolution 95? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Ms. Bowers,
Yes.
Ms. Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Mattson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
President Williams.
Yes.
Resolution 95 of 2020 passes.
Moving on to Resolution 96 of 2020.
Resolution 96 of 2020 is a resolution authorizing the city of Harrisburg to negotiate and enter into an intergovernmental cooperation agreement with the borough of Paxton for the purpose of authorizing the city to provide municipal solid waste and recycling, collection, and disposal services within the borough.
Any additional questions or comments, council members? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Ms. Bowers,
Yes.
Ms. Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Mattson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
President Williams.
Yes.
Resolution 96 of 2020 passes.
Moving on to Resolution 97.
Resolution 97 of 2020 is a resolution authorizing the city of Harrisburg to negotiate and enter into a professional services contract with Makia, S. Goldberg and Associates Consulting LLC to provide program management consulting services related to the city's FDA Retail Standards Grant Program.
Any additional questions or comments, council members? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Ms. Bowers,
Yes.
Ms. Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Mattson,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
President Williams.
Yes.
Resolution 97 of 2020 passes.
Moving on to Resolution 98.
Resolution 98 of 2020 is a resolution authorizing the city of Harrisburg to negotiate and enter into a professional services agreement with Murray Associates Architects, PC, for the purpose of providing architectural and interior design services related to alterations to the existing flooring in 2 firehouses.
Is there any additional questions and comments on Resolution 98? Hearing none, please call the vote.
Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Ms. Bowers,
Yes.
Ms. Daniels,
Yes.
Green,
Yes.
Mr. Madsen,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
President Williams.
Yes.
Resolution 98 of 2020 passes.
Moving on to resolution in 99.
Resolution 99 of 2020 is a resolution of the city of Harrisburg expressing the profound sympathy and sincere condolences for the passing of Reginald A. Guy Jr.
Mr. Majors, would you like to read that first before we vote?
Yes, and I'm going to read the resolution in its entirety. I know Mr. Reginald Guy was while not a resident of the city of Harrisburg, had a profound impact on not just the city of Harrisburg, but our entire community. He's worked closely with many of us on council and in the administration on several efforts to ensure that there was MBE and WBE participation in contracts, and was a tireless advocate for improving contracting opportunities for minorities in the city, as well as minorities as a whole in our region. So, and personally, he was a mentor and a confidant, and his presence will sorely be missed. So bear with me as I get through this. So resolution 99 of 2020, a resolution of the city of Harrisburg expressing the profound sympathy and sincere condolences for the passing of Reginald A. Guy. Whereas the Honorable Reginald A. Guy Jr., a distinguished public servant who served with the Commonwealth and the Harrisburg community in various capacities, Attorney General to the Commonwealth and co-founder of the Martin Luther King Leadership Development Institute, transitioned into eternal life on November 25th, 2020. And whereas a youth leader and scholar, he graduated from Central State University and the University of Kentucky College of Law, and then served in the Commonwealth and the Harrisburg community with dedication and commitment, always in search of excellence to uplift and to improve the life of those in the community in which he lived and served. Whereas a civic leader, compassionate activist, and lifetime member of the NAACP, Reginald, effectively known to many throughout the community as Reggie, worked tirelessly to advocate for those whose voice he represented and swore an oath to protect, hence his co-founding of the Martin Luther King Leadership Development Institute in 2008. And whereas the Martin Luther King Leadership Development Institute's mission is to prepare and empower individuals, committed to exercising creative leadership to improve the condition of the greater Harrisburg community, thus leaving a legacy of great leadership and advocacy as reminders of a job well done. And whereas a serious-minded individual with uncompromising virtue and always mindful of the rule of law, he was actively not only in public service, but also in his community as a member of the Macedonia Missionary Baptist Church in Harrisburg, Chosen Friends Lodge number 43, Free and Accepted Masons, and it pains me to say this as a member of Phi Beta Sigma, the renowned Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity incorporated. That's just a little joke for me and Mr. Guy used to have for 53 dedicated years. And whereas his passing is a great loss, not only to the bereaved family, but to all those who knew, loved, and respected his work in the Harrisburg community as well. Now, therefore, be it resolved, by the Council of the City of Harrisburg, that in the passing of Mr. Reginald A. Guy, the community has lost one of its earnest, faithful workers, and co-laborers, and his family, a faithful, noble, an enduring parent, and society, an industrious crusader for justice, and public-spirited friend. Therefore, be it further resolved that a copy of this resolution be furnished to the bereaved family of the late Reginald Reggie A. Guy as a sincere expression of his condolences and heartfelt sympathy. Just want to send my love to the Guy family, Miss Dorothy, his son, Reginald A. Guy III and Barrett, all who I grew up with, and it's just a devastating loss to our community. And with that, I think that's the conclusion of the resolution. Thank you for bearing with me.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Majors. And I think our heartfelt sympathy goes out to Reggie's wife, Dorothy. I knew Reggie very well. I used to do all the work for the Kappa Alpha Psi. He was the pole mark. So of course, you know, for years, for 5 or 6 years, I've done all the work. So really, really great guy. Really good, great advocate, you know, for civil rights. So he's certainly going to be missed. And I understand your controlling of your tears for him, because believe me, Reggie was one of those who, you know, demanded that you do things. And if you didn't, he was right on you. But if you did, he was there complimenting you. So I agree with you for everything that you said in the resolution. My thought and prayers go out to the family as well. Any other additional questions or comments, council members? Hearing none, please call the vote for the resolution.
Mr. Allett,
Yes.
Ms. Bowers,
Yes.
Daniels,
Yes.
Ms. Green,
Yes.
Mr. Madsen,
Yes.
Mr. Majors,
Yes.
President Williams.
Yes.
Resolution 99 of 2020 passes.
Moving on to resolution 100.
Resolution 100 of 2020 is a resolution declaring that the ongoing novel COVID-19 pandemic constitutes an emergency of such magnitude and threat to the health, welfare, and safety in the city of Harrisburg that emergency legislative action is necessary so as to allow the concurrent proposed emergency ordinance, Bill 21-2020, amending Chapter 3-355, State of Emergency of the Codified Ordinances of Harrisburg to be effective immediately.
Council members, we also will suspend the rules on Monday, and we will vote on resolution 100 at that time. Moving on to old business, council members. Is there any old business this evening? We move on to new business. Council members, is there any new business at this time? Mr. Allett? Oh, okay. Okay, and at this time, I will apologize to the community for my behavior last night. I generally don't get out of sort. I'm a really low-key individual. There was a lot of things that was going on, and I will apologize to Mr. Majors as well and Ms. Daniels. Ms. Campbell, I will not be, as Ms. Bowers said, bullied by your threat of me not running. So let me just inform you that I am going to run for re-election. So whether you like it or not, that is my goal. So with that being said, we will move on for a recess until Monday at 5:30 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful evening, and I will see you again on Monday.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Happy Hanukkah to those who in our Jewish community.
Oh, yeah, that's right. That's right.
The first
That's
time
right. Okay.
one of our residents mentioned, Ms. Peacock mentioned. So.
Oh, for anyone who, there is a wonderful, wonderful display at Fort Hunter. If you want to take your kids, it's a train display. It's just really amazing. So it's open on Saturday and Sunday, and I think until 5 o'clock p.m. in the afternoon. Okay. All right. Thank you. See you Monday.